Okay, so I don't have any pants on. Thanks for coming to my channel. Chilling in the nightmare. Isn't that how it is in nightmares? You show up someplace with no pants on. That's gonna be my ongoing humorous remark about my chilling in the nightmare show. Anyways, today what I'm talking about is something that I wrestle with often, and it's, what is it? It's a parabola? It's not a parabola. It's just it's an anecdote. It's like, it's a story I read. It's a little, it's not a fable. I wish I did some research so I could figure out what they call these little stories. Maybe I'll figure out as I go along. So it's, I used to read like Taoist philosophy. So it's like a little story from like Taoist philosophy. And it might have been a poem, it might have been in Zhuangzi. It's definitely not Lao Tzu, but it might have been Zhuangzi, and it might have been something else. But anyway, I'm gonna tell the story and then I'm gonna talk about it, because I read this like 15 or 20 years ago, and it's kind of ruined a lot of my life. And so I wanted to share it with the internet so that it can also ruin your life. Not really, but it's just like antithetical to our existence as United States citizens, slaves. So the story is, there's a monk, right? Because it's Taoist philosophy, so there's a monk of some variety, presumably Taoist, and he's the master. And so he's just chilling and doing his thing. He goes for a walk. This master, is the abbot of the monastery? No, he's probably just like, the master. And he has a disciple. So the master goes for a walk every day, and they don't talk because they're monks, monks are, because the Tao that can be spoken is not the true Tao, so they don't really talk very much. And the disciple goes on the walk with the master every day, and when it's over, they probably, who knows what they do. But one day the disciple says, listen, I know a guy, and the guy heard that you're the master, and he wants to come walk with us. And the master's like, you can take it or leave it. And so the disciple's like, well, does that mean it's all right? And he's like, he's like, well, I guess then I'm gonna bring him along next time. And so they go for a walk the next day, and there's the master and the disciple, and the disciple's friend, who's evidently kind of a chode. Not really, I added that part. So they're on the walk, the master, disciple, and the friend, and what happens? Oh, the friend of the disciple is like, wow, it's a really nice day out today. Look at this guy. Is that necessary? I'm in traffic at the George Washington Bridge. It's not a nice day for me. But in the story, master, disciple, and the friend, they're walking around, and the disciple's friend says, hey, it's a nice day out today. And then the disciple looks over at the master, and the master is kind of looking over at the disciple. He's probably giving each other a look. Because the guy said a thing, which, heaven forbid this guy say a thing. But the master, when the walk is over, and the disciple's friend departs their company, and it's just the disciple and the master says, your friend's kind of a loudmouth. He's like, what are you talking about? All he said was, it's a nice day out. And the master says, I know it's a nice day. It's self-evident that it's a nice day. Why does he need to remark that it's a nice day? Because it's obviously a nice day. I'm paraphrasing. They probably used a lot less words. But that was the gist of what happened. The disciple's friend said it's a nice day, and the master was like, this freaking guy over here thinks it's a nice day. What a jerk. It's I know it's a nice day. You tell me something I don't know, you know. But, you know, that's the story, and it's supposed to make you wonder. It's kind of a cruel story because it's kind of like saying, just shut up forever. But that's really, you know, the mentality of these Taoist monks a lot of the time. Is, you know, you really should shut up forever because everything is self-evident. And so I read this, you know, kind of before the rise of YouTube and before the rise of content creation and the rise of vlogging and things. And so and also, I mean, being a martial artist, I study Tai Chi things, and Tai Chi is connected to Taoism, and the first line of the most sacred Taoist text is, the Tao that can be spoken is not the true Tao, which is, you know, a subtle way of saying, just shut up. You don't know anything, just, there's nothing to say, you know. And then later on in the book they say, those who know do not speak, and those who speak do not know. And so I've thought about that a lot. And so all the time I've been watching people, you know, running their mouths. And I'm kind of like, I want to run my mouth. Because I'm a novelist, you know, and when I'm writing, all I'm doing is not shutting up. But it's like on a keyboard, clicky-clack. So it's... But I've wanted to run my mouth in reality like everybody else. But I always think about this monk and the guy who just wanted to point out, you know, it's a nice day. And it's self-evident that it's a nice day. And then the Tao that can be spoken is not the true Tao. And then there's nothing that's not self-evident. You know, if you're observant, what are we even talking about here? Because, I mean, the things we talk about, they happen out in the nightmare. They don't really happen directly to us a lot of the time. A lot of the times we're talking about, you know, something that is twice or 3 times or 4 times removed or 5 times removed or 6 times removed from ourselves. You know, there's all these degrees of separation between us and what we're talking about, which right there should be your first clue that it doesn't matter. Because if it's not happening to you directly, then, I mean, can you even really have an opinion about something that's not happening to you directly? People do it all the time, so I don't know. And so that's kind of my point, is that, like, you know, I wanted to talk about stuff, but I always remember this guy's friend, you know, saying that it's a nice day, and then the master, what a jerk. It's self-evident that it's a nice day. And you know what isn't self-evident? Really, if you think about it, most things are not self-evident. But I think they used to live in a different world. You know, when that story was written, everything was very one-dimensional, and now we have, you know, 11 dimensions. So there's got to be something to say about something. But I mean, every time you have a thought, it destroys your peace. You know, the silence and the stillness and the quietude and the absence of language is begging us to be peaceful. And yet, we always gotta be thinking about something, we always gotta be saying something, we gotta always have an opinion about things, and we gotta communicate with each other, and, you know, run our mouths on social media or whatever. I don't know, is YouTube social media? But anyways, so what I'm trying to say is that I'm kind of done with that. I'm pretty much just going to say whatever I want to say, and think whatever I want to think. And, because everybody else does it. And also I feel like a lot of of the people who are doing it are not ideal. Ideally, I'd rather be listening to myself, listening to somebody else. And I mean, objectively, I've been around long enough to have lived experience. So even if I'm just communicating lived experience, then that's more than we get from a lot of people. I've had actually way too much lived experience at this point. I wish I could reduce my lived experience, but I guess then I would be dead. So anyways, I'm still in traffic on the George Washington Bridge. I'm going to be here for a very long time. Maybe I can show you. This is breaking the rules, but this is what it looks like. Oh, there's one of those guys. I know those guys. Oh shit, that's my company. And the guy from that company is going to be looking into here because we're at the same company. He's going to see me playing with my fucking phone. And there's a surveillance Big Brother unit in here watching me all the time, but mine is thankfully broken and it doesn't work, and they haven't noticed that it's broken and doesn't work yet, so I'm enjoying it while it lasts. At some point in time, my Big Brother unit is gonna have to get fixed, and then I'll probably be fired shortly thereafter over some stupid nonsense that has nothing to do with anything. Because office people gotta have their little office jobs, and they gotta come up with something for themselves to do. So people who've never driven a tractor trailer wanna sit around, and tell us how to do our job, and they have no idea. It's very silly. It would be one thing if they had like truckers in those offices telling truckers what to do, but they don't hire truckers. They hire idiots who don't know anything about anything. It's the illusion of safety. So it's all very stupid. I'll talk about it more in the future. Alright, I guess that's it for this one. I hope you took something away from that lesson about kind of their mentality and the whole principle of the Tao that can be spoken is not the true Tao, because it is useful in a lot of sense, because everything really is self-evident. And if it's not self-evident, it might be illusory. Things that are real, they tend to make themselves known. And then things that are illusory, there's no end to them. They cloud it. The nightmare is mostly illusory. And then we're chilling in the middle of it. Alright, whatever. Deuces.